So a question I want to answer in this video is, how do you set up a compressor? So what I have here is I have a vocal, right? This is the vocal.
Don't wanna learn a lesson, tired of second guessing.
So let's say you want to add compression to this vocal, and what you have here with this vocal is that the vocal itself, you can tell by the wave that it's not all flat. We use compression to kind of minimize the differences between the low parts of the singing and the loud parts of the singing. So what we want to do now is we want to throw in a fruity compressor like this one. I'm just going to use this basic compressor because it's simple to understand, so you focus in on what I'm doing. And after that, I'm just going to add a fruity limiter so you can see what's going on, because I'm going to be using this to kind of show you what is really happening. Sometimes you cannot hear it. It takes a while to actually hear what a compressor does by ear, but you can use this thing to see what compression is doing. It also has a compressor, but I'm just using this one here so you understand what it does. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play it, and then I'm going to use the mixer to see how loud the vocals are peaking at.
Don't wanna learn a lesson, tired of second guessing. Just wanna get.
So you can see here the vocals are peaking at -3 dB. So now we know how loud the loudest peak of the vocal is. So knowing that number is a good place to start. So what we want to start with first is the threshold. You can see the threshold is right here at the first knob that you find on this compressor. So what I want to do now is use the threshold to tell the compressor where to start compressing, like which decibel range I want it to affect. So what I'm going to do is maybe I can double that -3, and then I could say maybe something like maybe a -6, or even double that as well and do maybe a -12, just to to give it a nice place to start. And then after that is the ratio. The ratio is the amount of gain reduction that is gonna be happening. So how much it's gonna compress and like bring down all those high peaks that we saw on the mixer that are going up to -3 dB. So if I, with the threshold put down like this, I can play the vocal.
Don't wanna learn a lesson, tired of second guessing.
You can hear that nothing is happening, right? That's because the ratio is still 1:1. But if I start raising the ratio while the threshold is like this, you can start to hear a difference. So let me do that.
Don't wanna learn a lesson, tired of second guessing. Just wanna get.
You can hear that, right? So let me do a back and forth.
Don't wanna learn a lesson, tired of second guessing.
So I switched it on and off so you can hear what it sounds. It's like a subtle difference, but if I want to exaggerate it, I can drop down the threshold to like -30, and I can raise the ratio like to a lot as well. And then so this is without.
Don't wanna learn a lesson, tired of second guessing.
And now this is with.
Don't wanna learn a lesson, tired of second guessing.
And you'd be like, whoa, now the volume is low on the vocal. What now? So what you can do now is, that's where the gain comes into play. That's why they also have a gain knob here. So if you compress a lot, and if you do a lot of compression, or you do the compression and you tweak the threshold and the ratio, what you want to do is the gain reduction that happens lowers the volume of the signal. So now you need to like regain that volume that you lost. So now you need to add that gain back.
Don't wanna learn a lesson, tired of second guessing.
There we go. So now it's loud again. So what we did here, lowered, like swash the vocal like that, and then we recovered that gain by just adding some volume back here. So if I turn the compressor off,
don't wanna learn a lesson.
That's how it sounds. And then with the compression,
don't wanna learn a lesson.
So you could hear that the vocal has, you can now hear like her breath before she starts singing. You can hear this breath over here that you didn't hear in the first part. Like if I play it without compression,
don't wanna learn.
You can see that the breath here is not as raised, it's not as audible. So that's why you don't want to overcompress, because things like breaths and noises and things of that nature, like background noises, will also be raised if you overcompress. So you might not want to overcompress. So make sure that your ratio, especially for vocals, is not above like 5:1 or something like that. So don't overcompress it, and your threshold mustn't be also like super low as well. So you want to compress gently so that you're not bringing up unwanted noise as well. So that's how you compress. And then if you move on to things like the attack is basically when you want the compressor to start working. When on the audio you want it to start attacking, depending with what you're trying to compress. If I play the vocal like this,
don't wanna learn a lesson, tired of second guessing.
You can see there are these spikes that are on here, and these spikes are like peaks that go up and down like that. So you can control those by lowering your attack so that you have a fast attack. It'll take away those spikes.
Don't wanna learn a lesson.
So you can see now everything is flat. There's no more spikes here.
Just wanna get high with you.
It's no longer as pointy as it was. But if I raise the attack,
don't wanna learn a lesson, tired of
you can see it now has those spiky points there. So that's what the attack does. And when it comes to the release, it's basically just saying how long must the compressor hold and release. So it's up to you, depending with the vocal or what you're working on, how long you want it to. If you want it super quick, you can just leave it on 1 millisecond and then you just let it go.
Don't wanna learn a lesson, tired of second guessing.
So it's not really doing much, but if I raise it like this,
don't wanna learn a lesson, tired of second guessing.
it holds for longer, so it compresses even longer if you raise the release like that. And then you also have a type. So this is now just a style thing of what kind of type of compression do you want? Do you want it super hard to be aggressive, or do you want it medium, or do you want it vintage or soft? So that's just up to you. So I hope you found this really helpful. If you have any questions, make sure to drop them down below. But that's just the basics of compression. So if you ever see any compressor or any brand of compressor, this is basically the things you need to know to be able to understand compression. If you have any further questions, make sure to drop them down below in the comments, and make sure to subscribe to this channel and drop this video a like if this was helpful. Check out this other video that's on the screen right now if you want to learn more. I'm X and I'm out. Peace.